Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mike's Chess Videos. It's been a little while since the last time I've uploaded a video. I've got some feedback from you guys in the audience. Thank you for watching. Some of that feedback was that, as you've noticed, a lot of the times I end up getting very low on time in the games, and I'm going to try and work on my time management. As part of that today, I'm going to be playing much quicker games. So today I'm actually going to be taking part in an online tournament, which is a tournament of 5-minute games, rather than 45 minutes each for each move, and then an extra 45 seconds for each move. This is just you get 5 minutes, your opponents get 5 minutes, and that's it. So within 10 minutes at a maximum, the games will be finished. The tournament itself goes for a total of 2 hours. You can see there's 122 players here, and it's 125 players. The tournament begins in 10 seconds, and we're going to see how we stand after 2 hours. It's not the time control I'm used to, so my rating is a bit lower than normal, but let's see how it goes. The tournament starts now. I'm playing black. And I'm going to just really try and focus on making, I suppose, just good practical decisions. I want to play this move, and that's only going to happen if I can get rid of this knight, or at least effectively immobilize it, which I currently have done now. So I believe I can play this now. I will say I'm feeling pretty tired and jet lagged. Don't want to make too many excuses for myself, but it is true. So see how that goes. Now I'm protecting this pawn, enough times that this bishop's done. Because now I'm ready to castle either side, but he's not. He's not ready to castle either side. He can only castle kingside, which kind of makes me feel like I might want to castle long and start an attack on the king side, but let's see. What can I do here? What can I do? Now, I could move this bishop out and pin his knight, but then this pawn here is going to have some troubles. I could keep the position closed in the center and effectively block out his bishop, but it doesn't fare well for my bishop either. So I'm going to castle, because I feel at least this is safe, in the sense that if he wants to castle kingside, it's going to take him a bit of time to make that happen. If it takes the pawn, I'll take back. And again, it's going to take him time to castle, not necessarily a lot of time, but some time. Now, first up, this is a very interesting move, actually, that he's made here. And possibly a good one. I'm going to take this. And when he takes my bishop, I suppose I'm going to play this move to attack his bishop. I'm also attacking this bishop, which I'm now going to take. This knight's defended by the queen. I'm attacking his rook. Am I threatening this knight coming here to attack his queen? I don't know how much of a threat that is, but I'm threatening getting the other rook in the game with check, which I suppose we'll do now. Again, practical decisions. And now this is a nice move, hitting both the queen and the rook. I believe that's a nice move anyway. Whether it is or not, I guess we'll see. Is there something better? Did he resign? What's this? An advertisement for a new feature. All right, kind of looks like he resigned there. So I guess I press on next party, next game, and do I go straight to a new game? Yes, I do. So I don't know the opponent's ratings. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to play good chess. Again, I do feel very, very tired. Nevertheless, let's try and play some good practical chess, developing in an easy way. I know that you maybe almost should bring the knight back here, but I brought it to its most natural home square there instead. And I'm just now going to develop quickly on the king side. I'm aware he might well want to play a move like this. I could drop the bishop and he can play this to chase my bishop. So there is maybe an argument to play a move like a4 to prevent him from playing this, and also to give the bishop this square in the future. You know what? I'm going to do that. He's not going to be able to stop me from castling. So let's just do that. Now this pawn needs a bit of defending. So let's develop the knight and defend that pawn at the same time before we castle. Okay, now he's pinning this and therefore threatening this. But you know what? Now I'm going to castle and I'm going to sacrifice the pawn and the pawn structure. And what do I get for that? Well, hopefully what I'll get for that is some attacking possibilities. So one thing I could do is bring my queen here, at which point my queen and bishop combine forces to threaten checkmate. And at the same time, my queen attacks his knight. Let's do that. Seems like a practical problem. Again, under time pressure. If this was a longer time control, I wouldn't have just sacrificed the pawn for no particular, well, not for no reason, but sacrificed the pawn and my pawn structure in order to gather momentum for an attack. Well, I might have done, in fact, I would have done, but I would have first tried to calculate every possibility, or at least a lot of the ones that I find to be important. Whereas here under like, you know, a very quick time control, I've made more of an instinctive judgment that giving that pawn up was going to lead to some attacking possibilities, which is seeming to be the case. Now we have some time to think. If he tries to defend the knight, he could do it like this, but the knight's actually not defended there. But that would be a way to at least, okay, so he's going to give up the knight. So I'll take that. So yes, my pawn structure is a bit weak, but I'm up a fair amount of material. And now I think I'm going to just continue developing. But what if I instead just go for this attack? How does he defend this square? How does he defend this square? He's going to have to give his king some room to run to. Or he can do that, I suppose, but we can check him. We can check him here. Just kind of a slightly empty threat. Maybe we're better off doing it with the bishop. Not too sure. If we do it with the bishop, my queen's still under attack. So you know what? All right. I'll centralize my queen, barricading in his backwards pawn here. And now we just need to find a way to proceed. And I'm sure there's going to be many. I'm sure there's going to be absolutely many, many ways to proceed. If I do this, it invites him to do a move like this. But that's probably a bit of a weakening move for him, I imagine. Why did I not see this move? How did I miss this? I'm not 100% sure how I missed that. But anyway, what do you do? What do you do? That was a bit stupid. That was quite stupid of me. Oh boy. I want to get rid of his knight. This is not very good. Not very good of me, I'm afraid. All right, well, at least we fixed our pawn structure, and if he takes my knight, take back with the pawn, with the bishop, and just x-raying him there. So, as you would expect, not necessarily very accurate play. This does not threaten, well, it threatens mate, but he has an easy defense to it. So let's use this rook, see if we can get that rook off the board. We're also threatening to take his rook and at least just win one single pawn. If we want to, we can do that. But now we can also come here threatening this. because he no longer has this as a defense. He has that as a defense, but now what? How do you defend this pawn? You have to do it with your queen, but then I can bring the rook in. And you can't take my queen because it's pinned to your king. If you take this, I take back and I've won your queen with check. Or I can take here and I've won the game. Checkmate. All right, 2 from 2. Let's keep going. Practical decisions, 5-minute games. Just trying to develop here. See if we can trade off these bishops. He's not going to want to allow that to happen, obviously, but that's okay. Continue on. Clearly this guy is good. He clearly knows this opening. I'm going to try and kick his knight, I suppose. That's what I'm going to try and do. And after he captures and I take the bishop, he could probably take my rook then. And I could take the knight. So we don't want to do that. He's threatening checkmate here. So that's definitely one thing to be aware of. So I'm actually going to do this. Threatening his queen and defending against the checkmate threat. Okay, so he still has something of a latent mate threat. Just if I move the knight, there could be issues. So, yeah, that's a bit annoying to me, really. It really is. So what do I want to do then? I'm going to do this, grabbing a bit of space on the opposite side of the board. If he pins that knight, it doesn't really matter if he takes, I take back. But at the same time, it does matter because he can give checks now that really aren't nice. So, okay, I'm going to get rid of that mating idea, but it does weaken my dark squares. And I'm going to have to put my knight here to defend my rook, then move my rook away. This is not a very good position for me. Not very good at all, but I think I'm solid for the moment. And I can continue on my plan of continuing on this side. I was going to try and get rid of his bishop by placing my bishop here. That was basically my plan when I played a5. A, it gets some space, and B, it might allow me to get rid of his bishop in the future. Now, this knight's probably not that amazing. What happens if I take here, ruin his pawn structure, and bring the knight back to a square where it hits the pawn? Well, then he's going to continue his attack. So we don't really want to do that, I believe. Do we want to just play a move like this? Seems a bit slow. This could be a nice move. Because if he takes, I take his knight. So he can't really take there. If I take here, he's going to take with this pawn because he doesn't want to open up his king. I could throw another pawn here up towards his, just disturb his bishop a little bit, and then continue throwing my pawns towards it. Now we've got an opposite sides castling situation where I've got pawns quickly marching towards his king. Where's this knight going? Somewhere dangerous? Well, he'd have to bring the bishop back first to make that truly dangerous. But even then, my knight here is good. And if he ever moves the bishop back, then this knight can defend this knight and replace that knight if it's ever captured. So I will actually here continue on with my march of the pawns towards his king, trying to open up his king side. All right. I want this knight to replace that knight. Okay, this feels very dangerous for me. This feels very dangerous for me. What's he threatening? What is he threatening here? Does he want to come here? I don't know what he's threatening, but I should probably unpin my own queen, I would think. Can I attack his bishop? Or can I just try and open this position here? That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Again, this is a quick game. I can't really calculate everything. Now, clearly I can give a check. But what else have I got here? Checky just moves the king, and he's going to end up getting his king over to this side of the board, which is not 100% what we want. So what to do? Let's activate the queen. Hopefully this is not just the wrong decision. Yeah, he's preemptively moving his king away. So probably the mark of a good player. Now we do have this check. This check is pretty nice. He's probably gonna have to give up bishop then. Let's do that. Don't know if it's right or wrong, but we're gonna do it. My beautiful pawn structure here is going to become very disturbed as a result. But I'm attacking his knight, which kind of gets in the way of him trying to retreat his king. I can, of course, now play check and win this pawn. So it's a game give and take. But he wants to play the bishop here. He can't as long as this knight controls the square, which is very important indeed. How else can he? He's just going straight for the attack here. So if I give a check, he's going to come here. Then I've got check again. Let's do it again. Practical decisions. Practical decisions. I'm low on the clock anyway. He's only got one move. It's a forced move, so why can't I pre-move? I don't know, but okay, we give a check here. He moves out of that way. And now I can attack his rook, I guess, and look to maybe push this pawn and develop this bishop with a check. And this rook is kind of out of the game at the moment. Yeah, he has a lot of pieces around my queen. Now I can give a check here, but you know what? Let's start with this, but I want to put my queen here and do this kind of a thing. So he might want to backpedal at a certain point. We'll see. Obviously, I can take this, but I don't want to. Now, I'm going to pin that knight, threatening to take it. I could have taken it straight away with check. That would have been, I don't know if that would be better or not. But this is kind of looking decent, I would say. All right, so let's take that. And hopefully I'm not missing anything gigantic. But I'm getting the feeling like I can play this to attack the rook and then just threaten to get a queen. Bring my other rook into the game could be very good. And just go for some sort of a back rank checkmate. So with all that said, let's come here. I don't give two hoots about this pawn, obviously. And let's see if we can get a queen. Getting a queen would be nice. I don't know if I'm going to play this whole tournament. I might play a few games and then stop. Let's get a queen. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Gets a knight accidentally instead. Yoy. All right, well, let's give a check. I didn't mean to do that. Seriously, what the hell? And now I'm running out of time. Fantastic. All right, give another check. Yeah, wonderful. Oh my gosh. That was completely accidental. Completely accidental. Oh well. I think I played the game pretty well though. I'd be interested to see what this guy's rating was, because really I'm going to draw that one up as a win. Check. Go back into focus mode. We'll attack his queen. And I've run out of time. All right, bugger it. I think we played well. Let's move on. the point of this is not so much to play the best chess of all time. It's trying to make me improve with my time control. So I'm going to play Petrov defense. Give this pawn, but you can always win this one back. He turns it into a 4 knights kind of an affair, or 3 knights. I'll turn it into a 4 knights affair. And you know what? I'll try this. You take, and if he takes back with the knight, you place your pawn here and fork both of these pieces. Now, I think this is technically better for white, but whatever. We'll see how it goes. So he gives up his bishop. I'll take, attacking the knight. The knight moves back to defend, and I'll drop my queen all the way home so I don't get in the way of my bishops. Now I'm going to come here and give extra defense to this, but also prepare to castle. All right, so this position is so far so good. Now I think I can take that. So I will. But I'm going to take like this, opening up my bishop. And if he takes with the knight, then I can take back with my knight. So he does not actually take. He's threatening my bishop here now. Well, I can defend the pawn if I want. So that could be a way to do it. I could also defend the pawn in other ways, because now he is threatening to take, and if I take back, nice. Well, he's threatening to take here. Nice. It's buggering. You know what? Let's just attack the knight and perhaps the pawn behind it. In certain circumstances, it's a developing move, although it does put the bishop on an undefended square. My knight and queen combine to defend my extra pawn. I have beautiful development. And opportunities just to continue attacking. I can attack that pawn, and more importantly, that square, which is a square that forks both of the rooks. Is it worth that? I'm going to make a judgment call here. I'm going to make a judgment call and say no. I'm going to continue bringing pieces into the game. That didn't seem like it was going to be amazing. Now I could create a pass pawn here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a pass pawn. He's given me the opportunity. So a pass pawn is a pawn where it becomes a much more bigger threat of becoming a queen, because it's gone past all of the adjacent pawns from the opposition side. So the only way he can capture this pawn now is if he captures it with his knight, bishop, queen, or rooks, or king. But he cannot capture it with any pawns, because this pawn's gone all the way past these other pawns. So that's the whole idea. Now he's creating weaknesses around his white squares. So one idea that comes to mind immediately is just pin that knight. Maybe even do it this way. But yeah, this is starting to look weak for him already. I could also come here and just like box his king in to these 2 squares only. But what about a move like this? Just to pin that knight. Yeah, okay, I've got to be a bit more practical on the time front. Let's pin that knight. This pawn has plenty of defense already. If he tries to defend the knight and attack the pawn, well, the pawn's already defended, but also I can just attack his rook. He can attack my queen, but now I just come here and I say, you can take this pawn. I don't give 2 hoots about that pawn. That would just help me to double up my rooks if in the case that I want to do that. Alternatively, you take the pawn, I attack here, hitting your queen. Okay, so now he does that. I have many options. Now my plan here initially was just to play this move and attack this guy. Now he can take here, he can take there, and I probably didn't play this properly. Wait, he can't take that. What am I talking about? He can't take that. Tiredness once again kicking in. I'd say the maximum tired level was under promoting to a knight in the previous game, when I should have just promoted to a queen. He would have to take with his rook. I take his rook with check. He moves his king. Game goes on, but I'm crushing him. Unfortunately, I accidentally clicked a knight, and that was very bad. Okay, so here I just take back. I don't care if you take there because your knight is under a big attack and the knight can't move and there's no way to defend the knight at all. There's no way to move the knight to a place where it counterattacks my queen or anything like that. Ah, there's one way you could do it. There's one way you could do it. But you know what? I'm just going to bring my rook into the 7th rank where it's supported by my passed pawn, and it cuts off the queen's defense of this knight. This knight is still pinned. It's just that now it's absolutely pinned. Before it could move, but you would move. If you moved it, you'd lose the queen. Now it can't move legally because the king is behind it. Now you really can't defend this guy. That's my contention. We'll see what happens, and maybe I'll play like 1 or 2 more games after this. But you know what? It's been an interesting exercise of making practical decisions. I don't know. Okay, he's resigned. Let's do 1 more, and that'll do. I don't know how useful. Oh my God, this guy's a candidate master. What an awesome opportunity to play against a good player. All right, got a Sicilian. Let's not think too much about the fact that he's a candidate master. Who gives a damn? Of course, he's not going to play. I'm going to play this because I'm pretty sure that's technically best, but I don't really understand the moves. All right, so he's attacking. He's going to try and destroy my pawn structure. That would make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So you know what? What do we do? What do we do? Be practical here. Let's be practical. All right, let's just keep developing. If you want to give up your bishop, you destroy your pawn structure, that's fine. He doesn't. Now I'm going to take back. He's opening up the center immediately. Opening up the center immediately would make a lot of sense. Let's see what happens. Now I'm going to castle, I think. No, I won't. Let's defend my pawn structure at least. And we'll see which way we castle. He's obviously attacking here. He's preventing me from castling here. So I guess that means I'm going to castle this way. Then he's going to bring his bishop in here. And that could be, you know, problematic. And so what if I do this? Just defend the pawn and prepare to castle, allowing my queen to come to the defense as well. Also, I guess I'm threatening to win a pawn, but I wouldn't actually do that given that I haven't castled yet and the queens are on the board and that my king would become very unsafe. This guy's from Serbia. A Serbian master, or candidate master of chess versus me. This is good. Well, making him think, how's he going to proceed here? Probably he's going to play a move like this. That would be good. I suppose oh, he doesn't. So I'm actually happy that he did not play that move. Here, I was afraid of this move, actually. I was very afraid. Now I could go take and hit, and then I'm hitting both of his rooks. Again, I'm going to kind of do something instinctive here. Threatening checkmate. Yeah, easily parried, easily parried. But I think we can now castle. And I don't think this is not so scary anymore. So we'll centralize the queen, defending this pawn. He's going to be able to play this and displace me more. Or this, and just directly attack there. So fair enough. I could come here and attack this pawn. Bert Newton. Let's do something different. Let's do something different. Can't come here because he's going to bring the rook in and just destroy me. All right, let's come here. All good. All good. You got to give it a go in life. You got to give it a go. Now, bugger this pawn. My idea is to come here, attacking his bishop after he takes the pawn. And the idea is he can't actually take the knight because this would be checkmate. And bishop's going to be under attack, after which maybe I can put the knight somewhere else useful. Maybe not, but now I can do it with an attack on the queen, on the rook at the same time. So I like that. I think that's a nice move. I think that's a very nice move, actually. So what's he going to do here? I guess he can't really attack the queen. He might have to give up some material here, actually. May have to give up a bit of material. Can he push this way? No, because I take the bishop. Now, it's true. The fact that he's moved this pawn means that it's no longer a mate threat, but it's still a threat to capture a rook with check. After which, you know, there would be other problems. So he attacks the queen that way. It's very nice. It's very nice. Now that I feel like there should maybe be something here for me. He still can't take the knight. So if I just move the queen away, we're okay. What if I take here, check? If he takes back, is there anything there? No. What if I come here attacking the rook? Or is there some sort of way to do some sort of a double attack? Maybe if I come here and I'm attacking the pawn a couple times. Let's do that. I like that because now I'm threatening to play like h3, kick the bishop away and win the queen behind it. Let's do that. He still can't take. He's still also under attack here from his rook. So I like that. I like that. Come at me, Serbian master. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm sure he's going to find some really nice moves, and that could be very enjoyable. What if it? Okay, so he's going to let me play this. He's going to take. I'm going to take. He's going to take. I'm going to take. And I don't know what's happening in this situation, but let's see, 2-4 pawns versus 2-4-5 pawns. It's going to have an extra pawn, and it's this pawn, which is really quite strong. So I don't really want to allow in that. Don't really want to allow in that, but I don't at the same time know if I have any choice. Let's do it. I might be able to win this pawn if I'm very lucky. Let's get the king active first to prevent his rook from just having a field day. Not that it would have come to e1, but I think it would have come to e2. So now I'm protecting that square. And now, of course, I'm going to want to try and eliminate this passed pawn. He's going to try and defend it. And I will try and just blockade and bring my king in, which is what he's going to try and do as well. Now, he should win this, but I'm pretty happy to have gotten into a rook and pawn endgame with a bloody master of chess. I think that's a pretty happy achievement. Now, how can I do something really good here? Minute 16. Can I play this? No. He's going to probably come over that way, won't he? You know what? I'm going to do this and try and put my king here. That's what I'm going to do. And if he tries to attack these other pawns, I'll play a move like this where my rook defends one of them and the pawn defends the other. So we're going to come here now and trying to get my king active. Now, of course, I'm not an endgame specialist, especially when there's a minute and 4 seconds only on the board. But I wonder if I can maybe hold a draw here. Maybe I can play some waiting moves. Is there sense in playing a move like this? Let's play a little waiting move here, a little Chekhoruski. Now, I can't really give a check here, per se, because if I do, he's going to come here. I cannot allow that to happen. What I can do is attack his rook. Let's do that. Let's attack the rook for the moment. We're both low on time. I'm going to offer him a draw. He's lower on time than me. he goes back. I'm going to come back here. He's got less time than me. He does that. Now I can take, but I don't want to allow that. Okay, he can do that. That's all right. I'm going to wait again. All right, I guess now I'll take. And now come back. Uh-oh, I'm playing passively. Playing passively is not typically a very good sign in these kinds of positions. Let's pin this pawn, also attacking this pawn. His king can't do much. That pawn can just go there. Oh no, probably shouldn't have done that. He's going to get a bloody queen now and win. Oh no. All right, I resigned. All right, I'm going to stop there, but let's have a look at that. Let's do a little analysis of that game because I was pretty happy with that. I wonder if it was a draw and I just screwed it up at the end. So let's leave from there. That guy was a titled player. A titled player. That's pretty cool to have done well there. Now, let's try and find that game and do a quick analysis. Quick analysis there would be interesting. Yeah. All right. So around here, it was still a draw. But when I took the pawn, it went from, it's a draw to obviously him absolutely crushing because he can eat his queen. So what should I have done here? Maybe I should have just done another waiting move or something like that. No. I should have gone. Well, what should I have done? That's what I'm asking. So, So I should have just played my rook all the way back here, where I can just give him checks. His king can't do anything except move back, and I'm just holding him to a draw. The rest of the game, I'm sure, was probably hopeless. But well, let's see. So we started e4, e5. These are all book moves. It's Sicilian opening. Okay, so that was the right decision. Good, 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 good. Yeah, that was definitely questionable, taking that pawn. Yeah, I took a pawn and I created a threat of mate. But for the sake of that pawn, he got to develop his bishop, and the threat of mate was very easily subverted. But okay, our castle, he's got only a slight advantage at this point, very slight. Bring my queen back. Queen d3, queen f3 here was a inaccuracy. So what should I have done? I'd like to know. What should I have done? Not sure, but anyway, the game goes on. This was a lovely move. Seemingly sacrificing the knight, but actually creating some nice threats against his pieces. He found a beautiful defensive move. Okay. And then this was a blunder, because here I've actually got a slight advantage. So what else could I have done here? What else could I have actually done? I don't know. What should I have done? What would be best? Okay, attacking the queen, and he can't take. And I'm also attacking this pawn now for a third time. That's a lovely, lovely idea. Yeah. What should have alerted me to that was the fact that now he's defending his rook. So now he actually is threatening to take the knight, because then when I take rook, he just takes rook back. So that should have alerted me to the fact that therefore my knight is actually under attack. Therefore, that's probably the piece that needs to move unless there's a better way to counterattack. But moving the knight here with a tempo on the queen and a tempo on the pawn there, that makes a lot of sense. I should have done that. Instead, I let him take, and then after take, moving the king here was good to prevent rook e2. And then we got into this endgame where, okay, he's better, but in this exact position, he's only ever so slightly better. And in practical terms, this is essentially a draw. Well, not necessarily in practical terms, because practically speaking, players will make mistakes, but that small of an advantage is like the kind of advantage that white starts with at the start of the game. So it's essentially, it's the start of the game. This is like a brand new game. The previous 27 moves haven't altered the evaluation of the position. So 27 moves in against this guy who's a titled player, and I'm still in a drawn position. I'm pretty happy with that. But rook d3 was not that good. What I should have done instead, maybe just developing my king, would make more sense. But okay, then I get my king happening, and we both make some mistakes. And in this position, you can see it's a draw. It's a draw in this position, and I offered him wow, okay, so that was a big blunder. So what should he have done here? Why was that so bad? All right, wow, that's an interesting move. I would have done this. What's the big deal? Saying king e4. Okay, oops, no. What if I play f3? G takes, G takes. He wants to go king e3. Okay, I'd go like this. Then he's going to give me a check. So you can't do that. And if you come back, then he's going to be able to go. Anyway, long story short, we both obviously made blunders in this endgame. And even here, after a lot of blunders, we're still drawing. Still drawing. But this was a blunder of Everest proportions. To go from a drawn position to minus 58.3, like that. I should have just held the tension in the position. I should have recognized that with my king here, there's no way for him to make progress with this pawn. So therefore that pawn's really not a danger. And in fact, this pawn kind of ties his rook down. His rook has to defend the pawn because otherwise I'm going to take it. In the meantime, he can't push this pawn because it's pinned. And if I were to move the rook back here and he does move the pawn, well, then I can just give him, checks. I would imagine, give him checks, which moves the king back. Let's say h4. And then you can either take here, possibly, or you can take here. So what happens, can we just take this? I wouldn't think that's too bad, but he goes king h4 then. I would think we could go check, but no. The better move would actually be to take this. And if he comes here, you can just play rook f3. There's no way for it to defend the pawn then. And the game is not only drawn, but better for white. On the whole, I'd say I did pretty well. I think I won most of those games. And even though I lost against the master, I gave him a good run for his money. And kind of wasn't that much weaker than him. So I'll leave it at that. And I'll come back next time and I'm going to do a 15-minute game with 10 extra seconds per move. So quicker than 5-minute games, and where there is more of a focus on, actually calculating and being accurate. but with trying to maintain some of this quick, practical decision making. So I hope you enjoyed the games, and we'll see you again next time. Keep the feedback coming, and thanks for watching.